and we'll go ahead and get started. One of the things we talked about last week was about making referrals and the type of resources that would be the type of information that you would need, and collecting your feedback on what would be helpful with making referrals to the CBOs. And so I would put together a document, which is actually a proposal for just taking the information that's already available. So we have the training program information that's available on the customer side, on the public facing side, as well as on the eligibility review tab, and formatting it a little differently so that it's really easy to see pieces and parts of information, as well as what I'd like to do is incorporate those discussion questions and considerations just so they're like right at your fingertips and you don't necessarily have to have a separate document to kind of work through those questions. And so some of the things that, the same thing we already have. We already have the industry background information, link to career information. So we have those type of things that are available already. With the proposal, I just rearrange some of the information and then put, just like a little visual cue just to show you, again, these are the things that are the baseline requirements, those hard stops. And since the background check was a big one that came up last week, I moved that particular question up towards the top so it would just be easy to see, quick reference for you, and then again highlighting the description. So we know that as you look at that page, there's just a lot of information. So what we wanted to do is add whatever cues, I guess you can say, to draw your attention to specific areas quickly. So we will be talking to the CBOs this week about making sure that they answer some of these questions, again, depending on whatever is applicable for their program, but to include like the type of remedial services that they're offering, the type of courses or hands-on training that the person can expect to participate in. Is the training offered in multiple locations? Is work experience is included? When is it offered? What types of credentials are earned? And how, what type of public transportation, how is it accessible? And so, again, we'll be having them add that information for a couple reasons. One, to help kind of like recruit people into their training program. And then the other thing is to also help you with, as you provide this information, kind of work through some of the, situations so that the individual can make an informed decision about if they have multiple options for training programs. So that's the proposal, and I'll as soon as we got our program is working on a couple other things, but this is one of the things that we are planning to incorporate. Okay. So I'll turn the session over to Dee.
Okay. One of the things that we wanted to talk about now is what happens when a customer misses orientation. And I'm going to go into, that's real. I'm going to go into test here. And we've got a couple of spots that we can look at things. And I've just sent an email off because this is basically referring to the mandatory areas, what happens with them. Because in the voluntary areas, all we can do is just keep re-inviting people. But in the mandatory areas, we have some recourse. Excuse me, one moment. Office phones. one of the things that we can do is we can have people go through a conciliation or the sanction process. But we need to make sure that those people are being tracked. And so what we want to do is we want to get a consistent process going. What we had initially thought was maybe just re-invite them and start the conciliation at the same time, but that might be cumbersome. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with an entire process that's approved by DHS so that we know who's doing what, where, and when. But what we do need to do is for those people in mandatory areas that have missed orientation, we need to go to those areas, and especially in the mandatory areas, click on their profile and go to the intake activities and mark them as it will default to has not attended orientation, but then we also need to mark that the conciliation/sanction process has started. And if they miss the orientation, we need to send them a 2846G because in the mandatory areas, we're sending these 1721s out to customers so that they show up for this opportunity. And if they don't show up, they've missed a required appointment. So we do need to start the conciliation process. Now, what we need to decide as a group is to, as DHS, we need to decide whether you automatically re-invite them for the next available, or do we wait to see if they show up for the conciliation appointment, and then if they're interested, invite them to participate. Because we have a couple of options. If they show up at the next appointment, you can do attended that appointment, and maybe they're exempt. So they're interested in the program, but they've got a broken leg and they want to be a truck driver, so they can't really participate in training right now. So you would mark them here. But what we do need to have marked is that they did not attend orientation and that the conciliation process has started. So we will get word out to you hopefully by the beginning of next week. Maybe on your 2 o'clock call on Monday, you'll have word about what the process should be. And mandatory areas across the state should be following the same process so that when we go to the dashboard and we look at the dashboard, we're seeing hopefully more numbers in the green line than anywhere else, but that this missed orientation number is not so huge, and then the conciliation number will probably grow a little bit and the missed orientation number will decrease a little bit, but hopefully we can get those people up and in through the system so that they actually either apply or they're in one of these red numbers where it's not going to apply at this time or decline to participate completely, and then they go to JPP or Work First or Earn Fair. I may have gotten those backwards. But that's what we want to do with conciliation. We'll get something out in writing to you in the next week, I'm going to hope. So I'm going to minimize my screen. And if you have something particular that you want to talk about or that you need to have us answer, then if you could mark those areas in the topic box. And if you did not get a chance to check in, please check in. And Pam, I'll check into that customer. I'll check into that customer while Olivia is talking. All right, Olivia.
Hi, everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and go over a couple of areas of the dashboard that we need to make sure that we're keeping an eye on and getting updated so that way we can make sure the customers are reflecting accurately on the dashboard. So one of the first areas that I would like you guys to go in and see if you have any customers displaying in your dashboard Again, this is the view of all regions, so your dashboard numbers will be a lot different than these dashboard numbers. One of the areas that we need to make sure we're checking and having no customers sitting here is the customer profile information needs updated section. Right now we currently have 3 customers in there. These customers will not continue to flow through the dashboard until their profile information is up to date. So they could already went through random assignment, but they're going to sit right here until all their information is corrected. So if you have any customers in this section, it's very important to go in and include all of their information. The other section we need to make sure we're keeping up to date with is this ready for review by DHS Caseworker. We have 29 people in here. I believe it's a couple, it's a little bit lower than last week. I think it was like 33 last week. But we really need to go in here and move. These customers shouldn't be sitting in this area. They need to be in the red or the green. A lot of these customers are from months back, so we need to go in and either mark them as they are declining to participate, they do not want to come back in and go through this with you, or maybe they have lost their eligibility due to their failure to show up. So we need to go in and mark that on their eligibility review page. So when you're looking at your dashboard, if you're displaying any customers in this section, we really need you to go in and get them cleaned up as soon as possible. And that goes the same for need to be scheduled for consent or missed consent. A lot of these customers are from a couple months back, and they just were never scheduled to come in for a consent meeting, or maybe they were and didn't show up. So if you have any customers in either of those 2 areas of the dashboard, you need to go in there and clean those up as well and make sure they're displaying correctly. We really need the customers to be in the red or green or white areas of this section of the dashboard as well. And then the last area dashboard to keep an eye on is the not assigned to CBO. We only have 3 customers in there. That's not too bad. We just need to make sure that after we are sending them through random assignment that we're going through and selecting the CBO that they are going to be assigned with. Some customers may be coming back to finish that, and that could be why they're not quite assigned yet. But we don't want to leave them sitting in there too long. So that's all I have for the dashboard. Do you guys have any questions on the dashboard or anything? Doesn't look like anybody's typing. So that's all I have.
All right. Okay, we've got an issue with a customer going on. We're going to take that offline. So Aurelia, if you want to follow up with that again today, call that 844 number. Okay, the one thing that we are going to work on, we've heard from all of you that there are some messages going out to people who don't necessarily need to receive those messages or are maybe off on another detail. So we're going to investigate some options that we might be able to do to work on that messaging. We talked about it this morning, but we have a couple of ideas in mind, but we have to see what we can actually do. So okay. Pam asks, if a customer is more than 2 hours late, should we count that as a recon or walk them in late to participate? Because they overslept or because they were just transported? I guess it's up to whether or not you can get them through the process. I would probably think that rescheduling them might be the best way to go about doing that. Chris is typing. He does have some experience. Has until 5 p.m. to show up. You can't do anything, though. Oh, okay, I see. So the customer has until 5 p.m. to show up because you can't take action on the case until that point in time. but you may still want to reschedule them. And Chris says you can do a 3392 to get them to agree to showing up on time in the future, or showing up at all in the future. And Mr. Hill is typing, so we'll wait to see what Mr. Hill has to say. If you did not get a chance to check in by region, please do so. I see nobody's here from Region 3 today. So we're hoping 3392 is the form that the customer signs at a conciliation appointment. I could work for DHS. I'm learning the numbers. All right. Any other questions? One thing that I did add into the file pod, or Olivia downloaded it into the file pod, is the self-directed training for EPIC. And I've had some requests from some people to do some additional trainings in some areas that what I would appreciate doing is having you go through the self-directed training first, and then what we'll do is we'll schedule a webinar in the next few weeks. I'm thinking either the very last week of September or the first week of October, where any new people that need to learn the system or go over things, send them through the self-directed training first, and then we'll hold a webinar so that you can be at your desk with your second monitor, watch the webinar, and we'll have all the phone lines open so that you can ask questions as we go if you need to. So hopefully that's a good alternative for some of you in some of the other areas so that you don't have to have travel time and all of that kind of good stuff. All right, I see a couple people typing. So we'll give it just a moment here. This is like a record call. And just to let everybody know, I am officially starting on the outreach plan. I will be starting in reaching out to areas that are voluntary, like the Freeport and Peoria area, and any other voluntary areas across the state. The mandatory areas have a little bit easier time, so I am going to start with the voluntary areas and try to get some press releases out and do some phone calls to some radio stations. So thank you for that information that I've gotten from you over a couple of the other webinars. Marianne asks, not sure if anyone has asked this, Coworker and I were told that EPIC is not really appropriate for customers, whoa, it just moved, with degrees and job hunting in a certain profession. Is that true? What you can do, Marianne, is look at step 3 and look at from the public-facing website and take a look at the types of training that are available. In some cases, customers with degrees or advanced degrees maybe just need some help with their job search skills. So that might be something that going through the EPIC process really may not benefit them, because we want to try to give people career opportunities. It's going to be an in-the-field call, and that is something that we don't want to discourage people from participating if they want to, but again, it's that 50-50 chance of being assigned. They might be underserved with the CBOs down the road. So, Deidre, was that yes to what? To Mary Ann's question? And then Anjanette asks, just to clarify, feeder offices are responsible for follow-up. Oh, that was to Anjanette's question. Follow-up with their customers when they do not attend an initial orientation at a pod, correct? Yes. We want to make the best referrals that we can. So back to Mary Ann's question, that's what we want to try to do. If a customer is going to be helped by this program, we definitely want to try to make that referral. But again, it needs to be a good fit for everybody. Okay, there. And Deidre says, also, feeder offices should invite customers to the pod in Epic. They should not be sending lists to the pods to schedule those customers. We understand that this is happening at some feeder offices. So if you need assistance with the directions on how to do an orientation, let me pull my screen up one more time here. Remember when we did some training and when we've done all of the webinars, and Olivia, if you can type this into the chat pod, the EPIC partners, illinoisworknet.com/EPIC partners. This is where you can find all of the tools that we have available for you. And down here we have the self-directed training for the invitation process, and then we have the full-blown self-directed training. And it's got the links, the videos that you need to watch, all of the information that you need. And it's all here on these pages too, but we put it into a concise process for you to be able to follow those steps. So, and we can do another how to invite webinar as well as, well, it would be on the overall webinar that we would do. So we can open that up to people that just need to do invitations as well. And then you guys can jump out if you need to. All right, I don't see anybody else typing. So we're going to end this technical assistance call in record time. Only 24 minutes. That's amazing. Unless I see somebody else type up a question, we'll call it a day. Ms. Jackson's question. We answered that. Just to clarify, feeder offices are responsible to follow up with their customers when they do not attend an initial orientation at pod. They will need to do the conciliation for those customers, and then whether they invite them again or not, we're going to determine that from some powers that be with DHS. Okie doke. I see Rosalind typing. Olivia or Natasha, did you have anything else to say?
Nope. I think we're good.
All right. All right. Well, have a great rest of your day, everybody. We'll see you back here next Friday at 10 a.m.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.